We've been thinking about the 7 deadly sins, or capital vices. And if you remember, what makes them deadly is not the thing itself, but it's what they produce. It's their offspring. So these are capital vices, or mother vices. I guess we could say father vices. But the danger is what comes from these. So these are the things that start in our heart, but they lead to actions beyond us, almost always to harm or hurt or damage to other people or to the world. So we want to study the things that start in our heart, start small, start as seeds, so that we can address them when they're small, before they get to be big and take over our lives and get the police involved and whatever else. So the last one that we talked about was vainglory or pride. And pride is connected to all the other ones we saw. Moving down the list, and this list goes back well over 1,000 years. Christians have been using this list for a long, long time. Second one on the list is envy. Envy. Now, before we define it, I want to think about some biblical examples, because my guess is you can think of some stories in the Bible about envy. And then we'll go from the examples and work out a definition. So, anybody think of a story about envy? Joseph. And who envied who in that story?
Brothers.
Yes. Why did they envy him?
Their father's favorite.
Yes. So Joseph was their father's favorite, and the other boys envied him. And what ended up happening in that story?
They sold him into slavery, then he became the pharaoh by him.
Yeah, they tried to kill him. They almost killed him. I mean, that's where it leads, but they ended up throwing him in a pit, selling him into slavery. It worked out okay. But they tried to get rid of him. Yeah, Cornelius? Or where's the envy there? In this case, it wasn't their father. It was, he thought that God approved of Abel and didn't approve of Cain. He thought God loved Cain more than himself. And so, where did that story end up? Yeah. So again, murder is where that led to. In the brother's story, it almost led to murder. So we see that this starts with envy, but it often leads to violence. Think of any others? Yeah. The devil and God with Job? Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I didn't think about the Job part specifically. Where do you think the envy is? Yeah. We talked about the devil last time with pride. And we said you can talk about the fall of Satan as a result of pride. He wanted to be where God is. But there's another version of the story where Satan's fall is because of envy. Now, that's a good example of the Job story. But the traditional Christian version of it is that actually the devil was envious of Adam. And that's what led to him rebelling. So, there's different versions of the Satan fall story, but envy is one of them. Yeah, it's a great example.
Another one didn't do the violence, just the prodigal son's brother. You've never done anything for me. I'm straight here. I've done everything I'm supposed to do, and you never did anything for me.
Yes. Yeah, the elder brother. Good. What? You think of another one? Yes. Yeah, how did that one turn out? Or what did the envy lead to? Yeah, he stole it effectively, right? He was jealous of his brother, and so he lied to his father and stole his birthright.
Did his mother help him out?
His mother helped him out. So, in that case, you could say it led to the family getting divided against itself. It broke up a family. And Jacob and Esau were at odds for many, many years. In fact, Jacob really thought Esau was going to kill him. So it could have led to murder. Maybe in that moment with the soup, it could have gone bad. But that also had a happier ending, at least with the brothers. But that's a perfect story of envy. There's one other one with women. We don't have any women stories, but that's in that same...
Rebecca, Hannah, anytime you have married women, Hannah, Rebecca, Leah.
Hannah and Hannah couldn't have kids, so she was envied of the other wives.
Mary and Martha.
Mary and her sister.
And Jesus.
Yeah, at Jesus' feet. That's a good one.
I got one. I don't know, maybe it was Johnson, but Pharisees and Sadducees.
Yeah.
Jesus. And
Yeah.
up there.
The leaders were jealous or were envious of Jesus, and that led to murder again. Yeah.
You look at Mary Martha.
Yeah.
Tell her to help me. Somebody said,
Yeah.
Woman that was Samson's wife.
Delilah. Maybe. Although that could be jealousy. We'll see. We're going to compare those in just a minute. So lots of stories. I was thinking about Rachel and Leah. I think someone may have said that, but there's a lot of things. So it's not just men and women. Everyone is susceptible to envy. Okay, so we've got the stories out there. Now let's back up and define it. Envy is like some other things. It's like some other vices. So it's related to greed. It's related to covetousness. It's related to jealousy. But it's not any of those things. So let's take a few minutes and separate these terms out. They have their own pitfalls. Okay? So, what's greed? You want more. You want more than you have. Cameron? Sinful?
Sympathy.
Say it again.
It's sympathy.
Sympathy? What do you mean?
It's grief. It's like it's sad. But we're it's like it's all Anything about you were saying.
Oh, greed. Like money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, grief and sympathy, those go together. Okay, we're clear now. You're good. When you're greedy, do you necessarily want what the other person has?
No, you just want to
You just want more. I don't necessarily want exactly what you have. I don't care what you have. I just want something like what you have. You got money, that's fine. I want money too. It doesn't have to be your money. You got a nice car, that's fine. I just want a nice car too. So greed is wanting something like. And now we can compare that with covetousness, because what is covetousness?
wanting something that somebody else has.
Now I want yours. You got a fancy hat, Cornelius. I covet that hat. I want that hat. I don't just want any hat.
I want your hair.
Yeah.
I miss my hair.
Does that make sense? Covetousness is I want yours. So this is beginning to sound a lot more like envy, because it's specifically about another person. But we can kind of lump these two together because these two are different than these two. Covetousness and greed tend to be about what sort of thing? What?
Wanting.
They are wanting, desire, but what is it that's being wanted with greed and covetousness, usually? Stuff. Properties. Yeah, material things, yeah. Classic story of covetousness in the Bible is King Ahab coveted Naboth's vineyard. He wanted that vineyard. And you remember he sulked about it, and then his wife convinced him to man up, and he went and killed the guy, or had him killed. Took the vineyard.
There was somebody in the Old Testament that stole some gold or something from
Yeah. Achan. Yeah. That one may just be classic Greek.
It can be family wise. What about
It can be what?
family wise? You can have freedom out of your wife, your career.
Yes. Yeah.
My uncle, no, killed my other uncle because he wanted his wife.
Yeah. Okay, that leads to violence. Yeah. King David coveted Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. Yeah, and had him killed. Yep.
His part is staying in the other one saying Chicago. So he come down 2 months after them and actually started trying to be with us. And nobody was in the family the whole time. So he just really killed the whole time.
Wow. I had a great uncle that did the same thing. Poisoned.
It's right around the time of Richard.
Yeah.
That's how he found that.
Yeah. See, so many of these stories lead to really bad things. But what do they start with? They start with this little seed of wanting, desire. Okay. So greed and covetousness are mostly property. I mean, you can covet someone's wife or career or husband or whatever. So you could covet people, but in a sense, it's almost like you're coveting people as property. Does that make sense? Whereas jealousy and envy are a little different. Jealousy and envy tend not to be about property as much as emotions. One emotion in particular. Desire, or we can say love. Desire or love. And it's mostly about people. What?
Oh, maybe insecurity.
Hold on to that. You're always like 2 steps ahead of me on that. But yes, yeah, it is going to come back to insecurity. Yes. So let's distinguish between jealousy and envy. These things are close, but they're not the same thing. When I'm jealous of something, the Bible says God's jealous. It's unusual. But when I'm jealous about something, what does it mean? They do go hand in hand. That's why we got to separate them, because they're very similar. Say it again. You want something somebody else has? That is envy or covetousness.
Doesn't jealousy more to do with love than envy does?
We're going to see, I think they're both really connected to love. Yeah, and in fact, love is going to be the healing virtue that corrects envy. We'll get to that next week. But let's say I'm a jealous husband. What does that mean? Possessive would be a word for that.
It's all emotionally related. It's supposed to thing related. It's stature. It's recognition.
Yes.
It's affirmation. It is respect.
Yes, it absolutely, yes.
That's more of a selfish thing.
Yes, it's selfish. But let's go back to this word possessive. If I'm being possessive, it means I already possess it. So jealousy is when I have something and I am I feel threatened that someone else is going to take it. So if I'm jealous of something, if I'm a jealous husband or a jealous father or whatever, I'm holding on to something that I already have. And I don't want any of you to look at it or touch it or get close to it. Okay? Envy is the opposite. So if I'm jealous of something, I have it, don't want you to touch it. But if I'm envious, I don't have it. So this is have. This is have not. They're very closely related. Yes.
And he want to take it.
And that's when the trouble starts, right? When you want to take it. Well, yes, yeah, it starts in the heart. But I mean, like, you start getting into trouble.
Stop doing what we have.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yep. Does this make sense? Anybody want to contest this way of understanding? Yeah. The jealousy sin. Jealousy is a root sin. Yeah, it's interesting that we use a negative word to describe God. So, there's a lot of words we use to describe God that aren't 100% accurate, but they help us understand something about God. Like when we talk about God being angry. Well, anger can be bad, right? It can be bad for us. In fact, some parts of the Bible says don't be angry. But we say, well, that word can mean some different things. Same with jealousy. Yeah. Yeah. So when we say God's jealous, we're ascribing to God a human characteristic or trait that helps us understand God. And what I think it helps us understand about God is how fiercely He loves us and doesn't want anything to happen to us. So we don't mean it in a negative sense when we say it about God. But it can be negative for us, and it can be sin, or the root of sin. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right.
So it seems like jealousy is like when you have something, but you're afraid of losing it, and it affects you emotionally.
Yes.
And then maybe usually you don't have something. But when you're talking about like God being jealous, like he was jealous of them worshiping other gods.
Yes.
So he had, those were his people, chosen people.
Yeah.
But they were going away from him, and he was jealous.
Yeah.
He was not envious, he was jealous.
Now, and both of them are connected back to your term, Cornelius. Both of them are expressions of insecurity. I think I'm going to lose this thing, or I think I deserve this thing. That's envy, right? Envy is not just I want it. Envy is something deeper. Envy says I should have that, and you shouldn't. I should have that job. I should have that recognition or that fame.
Is envy hate?
Well, no, they're not the same thing. But envy results in hate. It can. That's one place it can end up. So, Brent was right, I think, that both of these are emotional interstates. Both of them have to do with status. Both of them have to do with comparison. Both of them have to do with proximity. So this is interesting. I am not jealous of Shaquille. Well, that's not even a relevant example anymore. Wimby. That's closer. I'm not jealous of him. I don't envy him because he's so far above me. You know, athletically, whatever, right? Or the President of the United States. You know, he's so far away. Who am I going to be envious of? The guy in the office next to me, probably, or down the hall from me. We envy people who are close to us, who are in our orbit, people who are very, very, who are like us, but maybe just we perceive them to be a notch above us. So already there's a self-perception that I'm lower than you, and that may or may not be true, right? It could be like a boss. That's a real distinction, hierarchy. But it could just be me thinking people like you more. That may or may not be true. So we envy people that are close to us, not people that are distant. We might admire those people. We might want what they have, but we don't envy them. So we envy people that are close. And it's rooted in comparison, which is to say, when I'm envious, and we are all envious to one degree or another. Some of us have mastered it better than others, but we all experience this. When I envy, what am I rooting my self-worth in? someone else. Comparison with someone else. This is dangerous. Dangerous. Comparison with someone else, and relatedly in my achievements. I need to be better than them. I need to do better than them. I need to make more money than them. I need to whatever. More than them. So, envy's about status. So it's always about relationships. That's why we say it's about love. Love, hate. Pick up on Matt's terms. The people that are close to me, those are the people that I may be most envious of. I want what they have. One definition is, and this gets at that self-perception. I want everyone to be as unsuccessful as I am. Now, the great thinker Thomas Aquinas has an unexpected definition of envy. He says it's a kind of sorrow. He says it's a kind of sorrow. So, Cameron, you might not be far off with grief, even though we... Yeah. Well, this guy Aquinas says it is a grief. It's a sorrow. But it's specifically a sorrow when you do good. When something good happens to you, I get upset. Why? Because I want that good for myself. Or I think it should come to me. So envy is a kind of sorrow. And back to insecurity. Envy comes from a sense of I am not fully loved. I am not unconditionally loved. Think about the Joseph story, right? My father loves my brother more than me. And of course, anybody that's in a family knows these feelings, right? My mother loves my sister more than me. My husband loves this wife more than that wife. That's a different society, but rivalry. And this is where God doesn't fit, because God actually doesn't have any rivals. God's not insecure. God doesn't want us to worship idols, but God's not ever really worried about someone beating him or taking what's his. Or God doesn't have rivalry, but we do. We're constantly worried about losing our status in the eyes of other people. Because more deeply than anything else, we want to be loved and valued and treasured. And then we see someone else getting what we think is ours. They're being loved and I'm not. Or they're being treated in a way, and I deserve to be treated in that way too. Well, I mean, people that have insecurity issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people out there who feel very loved.
Yes.
I'm not saying they don't have any, good works or somebody.
Yeah.
Where they're not really. I mean, you actually have some comfortable people out there. They may be living way out in the country somewhere. Where a lot of us people are very comfortable with. Not many, but there are some.
You're right. Not everyone struggles with this in the same way. But I do think that everyone can relate to this. Everyone, even the most secure people.
Yeah, but I'm just saying people who really feel love.
Yeah.
Not so much with security as those who really.
Well, I would connect security and love pretty closely.
I just don't think everybody struggles with that issue.
That's fair. But not everyone struggles with it to the same degree. But again, I think that everyone, I don't know, you can tell me if you've never felt this in any way. Maybe you're the exception.
Well, I think
everyone has it at some level.
You grow into Right. But I can grow into what you may have felt at 25 and 55, you've grown into a different, you almost metamorphosed into a, God help you grow into a more complete person.
Well, you hope so. I mean, that's what we want. Doesn't always happen. Yeah. We want to mature away from this, right? And all these vices that we're talking about are not everyone's vices. Not everyone has all 7 of these vices. We wrestle with different ones. But all of us can relate to these vices, I think. And yeah, maybe when we're younger, it's worse. Or more dangerous. Because it can be fed, it can feed these vices. And then they can grow into something else. So, let's talk about envy's daughters. Where does envy lead? What is the offspring? And this is also how you can recognize it in yourself. So, maybe you don't struggle with it much, but listen to these signs and see if this is something that you have struggled with. So, the first thing is I have to learn to pay attention to what's going on inside of me. Why do I feel the way that I feel when I see something or hear something or talk to a certain person? I get feelings. Well, spiritual maturity or spiritual growth is when I can stop and look inside, introspection, and ask some questions. Am I offended when I hear someone else's good news? Does it bother me when I hear about someone's success? Someone gets an award. Someone gets a promotion. Someone wins a prize. I don't know. Has something good happen to them. Does it bother me? That's something to pay attention to. It shouldn't, but sometimes it does. Why then?
That's so hard for me to, forgive me, that's so hard for me to really, I ain't say so hard, but to really be upset because somebody else, something good happens to them, I would feel that something really wrong. I probably don't care. I feel something really, really wrong.
Well, that's good. Your conscience is trained.
Be happy.
Well, that's the right thing to do, is to feel happy when someone else is successful. But raise your hand if you've ever felt just a little upset when someone else got something good and maybe you thought you should get something good.
Especially,
Yes. Why did they get it? They don't deserve it. I'm smarter than them.
I think a lot of times in this situation, people might consider that person with success. They get something kind of struggle between them and God. Why they do that? I don't know. Like the rest of the people around, let them go like fight between them.
It is, yeah, he said it's between them and God more than between them and other people. And there's always going to be that. Yes. And part of it is, again, I'm looking at my own achievement and my own success. I'm better, I'm smarter, I deserve it. Yeah. It leads to hate? Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
I would say that person is not spiritually inclined, spiritually sound. More spiritually, you would be worried about what the next thing.
Yes. It'd be great if we were all spiritual like that. But the truth is, I think, a lot of us still wrestle with this, right?
Some of it goes against our sense of immediate justice. The prodigal son's brother, I've done all this, I deserve the fatted calf.
Yeah.
Or the example of the guy who went out and hired workers, and gave everyone's worked all day the same wage as those who work middle of the day, those who work an hour. Like, how dare you give them a full wage? I deserve more because they only worked an hour. It goes against our sense of justice and fairness and what I deserve if things are really needed.
Yeah. Why did that idiot get a promotion and I didn't? They're late to work. They don't tuck their shirt in. But I have done all this stuff, just like the elder brother. Yeah. So being offended at others' success, taking pleasure in others' failure. Something bad happens to somebody, and you're like, well, look how the chickens have come home to roost. You ever had a feeling like this? This is bad. It's bad. But we still experience it. Again, you can correct it. But you ever hear something and like your first response is, okay. And then you're like, whoa, I shouldn't feel that way. You know, that's a wrong reaction. But it happens. And that's the sign of envy. It's where it starts. Ill will, when I'm wishing bad things would happen to someone, just wreck that car, or their house burned down, or they get, find porn on their computer at work. Want bad things to happen to them. Reading false motives. This is like, why did you do this? You must be out to get me. The boss is out to get me, or somebody's out to get me. Or I'm always thinking it's about me. There's a lot of things that are connected to this. So, looking within, introspection, paying attention to why I react the way I do, that's a first step in getting a handle on this. And also saying, maybe I am struggling with this more than I think. What does it lead to? Sins of the tongue. We've talked a lot about that in different classes. Envy leads to gossip. Telling stories about people that may or may not be true. Envy leads to backbiting. Anybody know what backbiting is? That's when I'm telling stories about you behind your back. And they may be true, but it's behind your back. Slander is telling stories behind your back or openly about you that may or may not be true. Sins of the tongue, trying to bring you down. Teasing, not good kind. Bullying, making fun of people. These are all outward manifestations of envy. And we pass it off as joking, we pass it off as other things, but there's often a dark, evil at the root of those things. And then where does it end up? This is where we'll end up too. Hatred. I hate this person. Hatred's not the beginning. Hatred's the end point of envy. Malice. I want bad things to happen, and I may even actively be involved in making bad things happen. And then, like we've seen in so many of these biblical stories, which were given for a reason, violence and death. Violence and death. Just like the people that killed Jesus. That's where it ends up. And none of us are exempt, even if it may not affect us all in the same way. None of us are exempt from these feelings of envy. Next week, we're going to look at the antidote, or the cure, and that is love. We've already talked about it. Love, and secure love specifically. So, come back for that. We'll take a little break, and we'll meet back for worship in about 10 minutes. Thanks, guys.
All of the family.
Yes.
I love the also.
Yes.
It looks like 2 pictures fly, but that is wintertime.
Yeah, I've walked right down that sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well, I've walked up.
And I love the walk. Great walk.
Yeah.
So my favorite stage was one of the stages. I love that open lawn surrounded by kind of sick. Which that's not the same. I love the contract. That's what I'm telling her.
Yeah. I saw it a little at Centennial with Weston.
It's not as long. That's the shortest edge. It's such a car.
You get the towers.
That's helpful. So they were, when I was working on the park, I got to know because they were renovating it. And the Parthenon, the Centennial's position, before all that stuff was built on Centennial Boulevard, it lined up. And so everything, the pyramid and everything else was like all placed. But the Parthenon, if you look at the aerial, it lines up in a very central part of the Capitol Hall. Maybe it's the building, but it lined up with one of our cities. Where the parking, it's never been. It should be renovated in the 50s and then.
They did it.
Well, they redid it in the 20s. Count on it.
Joseph. Would you like a prescription for us? You can just read it.
This is still live.
You don't have to.